Albanese, here we come. My name is David Bradbury and I'm 73 years of age, turning 74 next month. And I have moved down temporarily from Mullumbimby, where I've been for the last 35 years. But yeah, so I'm down here to take on Albanese at the election. So I went to the ANU in 1970. And that was quite a pivotal year for me because it was the Vietnam War was raging. My generation were being conscripted in Australia to go and fight in Vietnam and dying. And there was a very strong anti-war movement on campus where I was. They basically set up a tent embassy on the lawns of Old Parliament House. And I would go with my student friends to Parliament and we'd sit in there and we'd get educated, and then eventually the cops and the federal government, which were conservative government, they decided to send in the police to break it up. So I was arrested at that demonstration, but I was so scared of my fundamentalist Christian parents discovering through the Canberra Times newspaper that their son David, a communist, had been arrested at the tent embassy, that I actually broke out of the coppers' hold and absconded. And I missed out on the semi-finals of the ANU rugby side about a month or so later because the cops had come along to the game to arrest me for that resisting arrest. So I stayed in a house with the editor of the student newspaper in West Virginia University. I played rugby. And I had all this wonderful experience of partying and hitting on all these beautiful American girls and smoking dope, and I was in my element because I'd broken away from my fundamentalist Christian upbringing. I had sex, drugs and rock and roll, which were much better than sort of this old man with a grey beard up in heaven that you may or may not believe into and go to when you die. Well, it was basically my two eldest children, Dylan and Ella, that brought me to my knees to ask God that if He saved my kids, stop them dying from serious drug overdoses, which they'd tried their best to do at least half a dozen times, both of them, that I would return to my belief in Christianity, my belief in God, and that I would do what I felt urged or inspired by God to do. And that continues to this day. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this concert for peace, justice, and the earth. And to send you out into the streets of inner Western Sydney with a feeling of hope and belief that we can make a difference in Australia if we all come together as a people. And that's the main reason why I'm standing at this election as an independent, because I want to give the people a chance to be heard. I've been making documentaries now for nearly 50 years. I've seen what war does. I've seen how traumatised our soldiers and enemy soldiers are. I've made films about the Vietnam War. I've been in Iraq. I've been in East Timor. I've been in all these countries over the planet where war has ravaged the civilian populations. It breaks my heart every night to see what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in the Ukraine. And that should not be happening. It should not be happening in the last century. It should not be happening in 2025. And 70% of the casualties we know are women, children and babies who are being splattered against their own apartment walls by those bombs, by the fascist Netanyahu. But our government could stop that happening in our responsibility by providing those component parts to Lockheed Martin. Those planes would not be able to potentially fly to drop those 2,000-pound bombs that America supplies if we had the guts to say, We're not going to allow this to happen anymore, because under the conventions of international law, we are obliged not to assist knowing there are war crimes taking place in Gaza, and stop it overnight.
How are you feeling about the results?
I think good overall. You know, I mean, got something like 2.4% of the vote, which represents over 2,000 people who gave me their primary vote. That's pretty good indication for someone who's just parachuted into the electorate 3 months ago. Over time, if not this election, if I'm still around in another 3 years' time, having laid the seeds in this campaign and getting to know people in this community that I've embraced and are embracing me over the last couple of months, I will be able to, in time, have a little pebble, as opposed to the pebble that takes out Goliath that David, my namesake, used. Throwing a pebble into a still pond can have a ripple through effect. And so that's the long-term approach I'm taking to it. Because I love this country and I love the Australians that are my fellow Australians. And I don't like the future that I see looming for us under the two-party system. So I've got no option but to keep on struggling and keep on inspiring people to take over the torch and do that when I'm gone and other people, my generation, are no longer here to be able to do that. We have to inspire a new generation to take up the challenge, because it's your future now.